Hello everybody, and welcome back to another review sort of video. Now today is going to be a little bit of a different one because I've been on a game and movie kick sort of recently, and I've been doing movie reviews a lot more recently, right? And now there's been especially in 2022, there was a lot of games, and a lot of good ones, a lot of terrible ones, just a lot of games. And one of those many games that really just caught my eye because, spoiler alert, it has to do with history, and I'm a history nerd. You got that. You got, just, the point of view that I saw it from, which was Jacksepticeye, again, spoiler alert. And it's a Man of Medan sort of a game. It's from, actually, the Dark Pictures anthology, so it's from the same thing. And, yeah, so it was just a very interesting game that really caught my eye, and it's called The Devil in Me. And I'm going to tell you all why The Devil in Me fell flat on its face. And I will tell you exactly why, and all these things that I wrote down. And first of all, before I get into all the negatives, I would like to point out the things that it did well, because obviously it didn't just catch my eye because it was, a game about, history, that sort of thing. It also, it had good qualities to it, and, it would have 1,000% made the game 10 times better if they just fleshed some of these features out more. They already had these existing features, but just didn't do it to its full potential, that sort of thing. So, basing the game off H.H. Holmes, I don't know why he became British there, H.H. Holmes, a real serial killer. Now, he was actually America's first serial killer after Jack the Ripper. In fact, I did a little research, and apparently, people actually thought that H.H. Holmes, oh my god, and Jack the Ripper were the same person for quite some time, actually. And, people just kind of thought that they were the same person, and I found that super interesting. Basing it off an actual serial killer was a very smart move on their end because it brought a lot of attention to things that people may not know a lot about. And then you also have the graphics. The graphics were 10 out of 10, 1,000% great, as we kind of have come to expect from the Dark Pictures anthology. The shadows were just absolutely positively breathtaking. The graphics were just, great, as we kind of come to expect from games in 2022, 2023. And the sets, the whole, time and place that they are set in, like the hotel, the closing of the walls, that sort of thing, the whole set moving was done very well. And then the character ideas were absolutely great. There was a lot of good characters that I feel like if their story and the relationships were more fleshed out a little bit, I think it would have been a really good storyline, and the characters would have been a lot more just interesting to see. But the base was there, it just wasn't fleshed out very well. And then the music, as usual, the Dark Pictures anthology was so epic. It just really immersed you to the point where you were just really into it. It was very intense. It was rocking. It was perfect. And going back to my first point, which was basing the game off of H.H. Holmes, I honestly did a lot of research on this, and they also said in the 1800s at the beginning of the game, and honestly, Jacksepticeye, the guy that I watched it from, pointed this out, and I actually kind of agree with it, that if they kept the whole game within the 1800s, it would have probably been a little bit more interesting, to be perfectly honest. And I found that super interesting, and H.H. Holmes, he was just honestly a gold digger. He did a lot of fraud. He actually bought and sold semi-unethically, many hotels and stuff that he ran, and that he also killed people in, because he was actually caught for insurance fraud, not for killing. And so I kind of like the game just for introducing me to H.H. Holmes. And by no means am I doing the classic thing that's been a thing recently, which is romanticizing serial killers. I don't do that. I'm interested in the psychology point of it, why did they do this, how did they do this, and when did they get caught, that sort of thing. So I actually found it super interesting. If you just go on YouTube and search H.H. Holmes, it'll tell you all about it. It also sent me down a rabbit hole of Bonnie and Clyde. We can get into that later. But it was very interesting learning about his life and stuff like that from this video game. So again, teaches you things about life. And excuse my hair, I don't know what the hell it's doing, but it's there. So we're just going to ignore it. And now for the things that fell flat, because there was only like 5 points on that list, guys. It was definitely fell flat in a lot of areas. Like I said, it set up a great storyline. They just fell flat in so many areas. Continuing into the aim bug, it was very glitchy. Which honestly is fine in games as long as they're not game breaking. You know, every game is going to have some sort of glitch, even if it's minor. You know what I mean? But in certain aspects of the gameplay, it just wasn't there. The glitches broke the game. For example, trying to aim at something that isn't there.
What? Okay, the pipe was missing!
For like grabbing something on a chase scene, and it just wasn't there. It didn't exist. Or somebody throwing something and then it was a time cutscene, that sort of thing, which is very minor. But in actual scenes, like a chase scene, when you're trying to grab something in order to get away from, you know, somebody, it breaks the game and it kills characters unnecessarily, which the whole point is that it's based on your reaction time, not the game. You know what I mean? So if something isn't there, it makes gameplay harder. And it doesn't make any sense. And there was also, going back to the things that it did well, it was kind of funny. There were certain times where it was just very frustrating to watch, and I'm assuming play, but it was super funny. It made for some great moments, and I absolutely love that. But for the most part, it just seemed game-breaking, and it just didn't seem enjoyable, honestly. It was enjoyable to watch, but if you see it from both points of view, and you see it from the extremes of both points of view, it just doesn't seem like a fun time to play or to watch, if you actually, think about it, you know what I mean? And then, of course, we have the actual story. The story just was not there. The killer was never revealed, the killer survived, and the presumed killer was somebody that we didn't know or care about. That's why I said if they said it in the 1800s, when H.H. Holmes was still, the main perpetrator, I think it would have been super interesting. Even if you played as H.H. Holmes, I think that would have been also very interesting. If, you were the killer, you were trying to kill every person in your path, but, depending on the choices that you, as the killer, made, the person would survive or not survive, whatever the case may be. I think that would have been a much more interesting story, but it just wasn't there. Nobody cared about this character. We saw a couple notes from him and his family, I guess, and that was it. That was the whole character arc. And even the end, he supposedly survived. Which, why would you, number one, make a sequel or prequel to a game like this? How would you do it? And number two, why would you set it up like that? Number three, why would you have such an ending to a game that has a ton of promise? I don't know. Maybe some people like that ending. I personally thought it just kind of fell flat and it made everything not very fun. And then the end of the killer being alive, like I said, was absolutely bogus. We literally just saw you go into a boat propeller. The characters and their whole, going off scene was just so boring, to be perfectly honest. It just was really underwhelming, especially for a good, like I said, a good setup and a good chunk of gameplay. It was a pretty hefty game at a couple hours, but just having that as the ending was just honestly disappointing. And, like I said, the killer was something or somebody nobody cared about. And the fact that he survived, not only being underwater for a long period of time, enough to drown, he also went into a boat propeller, but somehow this guy that apparently is obsessed with H.H. Holmes survives. I don't understand it either. And then characters. Characters, like I said, it was there. The foundation was there. You could have had, a lot of relationship building there, but it just didn't happen. The characters, nobody really cared about him, especially, again, the killer. I'll keep hitting that point home. The killer did not make sense. He had no personality. We didn't care or know about him at all. And honestly, the characters, honestly, I hate saying this, but I didn't feel bad for them at all when they died. Because I wasn't attached to them. There was nothing there. Like I said, it was a good foundation. There was something there. But in the end, it wasn't fleshed out, and then there was nothing there. Character reactions were honestly ass. To be perfectly honest, some lines were awesome, perfect, great, and others were just completely underwhelming. Like, the movement of the characters was weird. You just saw you literally just saw your friend split in half, and you just are like, man, I'm mad. And then go out of the room. Are you serious?
Jamie, wait.
Like, that was literally the reactions of one of the people. Or, like, oh, what's her face? Like, the girl with the headphones. She, died. She was split in half. Like, chopsy, game over, right? And then her best friend, her potential lover, just walked into the room, was like, and walked out. Not even a tear shed from her eye. Explain in what world that would happen. Okay, imagine that your best friend, bam, splitsies, dunsy. Are you just gonna walk into the room and be like, oh, whoopsies, and then walk out like, sorry to interrupt or anything? Like, that was basically what you did. And it was complete and utter ass. Like, there was a couple times where I was like, wow, this voice acting is great. And then there was that time where I'm like, why didn't you animate her better? Why didn't you give the voice actor more to work with? Because if somebody so substantial in your life, not only your friend, your crush, but your coworker, somebody that has so many roles in your life dies, you're just like, oh, damn, that sucks. Like, is that seriously gonna be a reaction? That was just really shocking to me, and honestly kind of, again, one of the points that made the game kind of fall flat. And then there was really no compelling action to keep them alive. Like I said, their interpersonal relationships were not very fleshed out. And even though there was a lot of potential romances that were set up semi-decently, like I said, there was a little bit of foundation, it just wasn't compelling enough to keep the characters alive. I did not feel like, when I was, watching it, I did not feel like I really want this person to stay alive. I was just like, okay, if they die, they die, I guess. I mean, like, I don't know. It was kind of like when she walked into the room, so our friends go Splitsville and go out. I mean, it just really was not that compelling, and I didn't really feel any connection. And then overall, this game, I mean, it was okay. It was really the ending mainly that made me want to make this video. Plus, y'all know, I'm a history nerd, I'm a video game nerd, y'all know this. I absolutely love that kind of stuff. But, it was honestly, the game overall, like I said, it was okay, but it was just underwhelming and sad and not at all satisfying, to be perfectly honest. I really hope, the next season, because they're coming out with a new season, of the Dark Pictures Anthology is better in character aspects, in storylines, and definitely fix your glitches, because if you can't see something that you're trying to grab onto, that kind of breaks the game completely and also messes up your whole flow, like your choices. Like, if you were able to grab that thing, that person would have survived, but this other person would have died if you did grab onto it. You know what I mean? Like, that completely alters your whole gameplay, and it just really sucks when those sorts of glitches happen. And there were components of, all the games, including, Man of Medan, Little Hope, that sort of thing, that made the games awesome. And I hope they continue that, like, actually basing it off of actual, like, historical events, historical people, historical legends, urban myths, like, that sort of thing. Actually basing it off of that is a great concept, and I hope they continue that. And like I said, there was a lot of aspects in the whole anthology that were awesome, that were also present even in this game. And I hope they continue all of that in Season 2, but I hope they kind of wrap up their game when it comes to glitches, when it comes to storyline, when it comes to fleshing out characters, that sort of thing. They need to, like, tie a nice bow and make sure that sucker is tight. Those were about the only reasons that a lot of their things fell flat, was the endings, the characters, and the glitches. That's it. So if they tie a nice little bow around that, I think it would, like, Season 2 has a ton of promise. But honestly, this game, if I had to do a movie review thing on it, I would probably give it a, where's my camera? Okay, that way. Okay, I would probably give it about, I don't really want to say it. I mean, like, so let me just look at it, because the game, basing it off of H.H. Holmes, you automatically get some points from me because I'm a history nerd. Setting the game in the 1800s at the beginning, that was a great choice. The graphics, awesome. You guys know, again, I love the ins and outs of games, the ins and outs of film. I love that sort of thing, and I'm a nerd for that sort of thing, so of course I love that. The sets, that was great. The character ideas, the base of the characters, if you fleshed it out more, would have been awesome. And then the music, it was awesome. So I honestly will give this, let's just say, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Maybe 4. 4.5 out of 10. I gave it a 3 to 4 range, but I feel like that's a little low. So let's just go and go with about 4.55. They honestly had a good foundation for it. They just didn't harness that good foundation, and they just fell completely flat again towards the end, because the ending was just the most disappointing thing ever. That ending honestly might go down in history as one of my least favorite endings ever, to be perfectly honest, because, yeah, like I said, the setting of H.H. Holmes, perfect. I love it. But why'd you have to go and make somebody else H.H. Holmes? Why could you have H.H. Holmes be H.H. Holmes? It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that was my first video game review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, do make sure to like and stuff. And I will be coming out with some movie reviews pretty soon too. And I'm very excited for those. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think about this game if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, I highly suggest actually going to watch it, because it is a nice, like I said, it's a nice experience, and it's cool to see what could have been. But let me know down in the comments your thoughts on this, because I would love to hear your guys' point of view. And yeah, so, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all the things. And I will see you guys in the next one. So long for now, my Aqua team.